So finally, we have the Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan against Dolph Ziggler and King Corbin main event. Now, earlier on in the night, we had a Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns promo backstage with Kathy Kelly. Daniel Bryan talked about The Miz obviously turning heel and being changed with his interactions with The Fiend. But he says that he won't change because he's unbreakable, and says that he'll win the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns then officially enters the Royal Rumble for this year. He says to Bryan, "Oh, you're going to win the Universal title at the Rumble, great," because Roman Reigns is going to win the Rumble and face Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Considering that Roman Reigns, of course, never lost the Universal Championship, obviously he had to relinquish it when he was diagnosed with leukemia again. So will Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble? I say no at the moment, purely because I think, the crowd at the moment is on Roman Reigns' side. Ever since he's returned earlier this year, they have been on his side. They're not as harsh on him anymore. But the worst thing I think WWE could do at this point is start to force him down our throats again. You've just got in the good graces of the fans with this character because you're not as heavy with the push, put it that way. So I don't think he will, and I don't think he should. But you never know. You never know. Personally, I would like to see the likes of maybe Kevin Owens win the Royal Rumble and face Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania on the Raw side of things, and then you can have Roman Reigns win, I don't know, the Elimination Chamber or something like that instead, because I just think it's easier that way. But I think it's pretty obvious at this point. The rumours are that he's going to face The Fiend at WrestleMania. They're keeping those two away from each other quite a lot, and then making sure that they don't have any interactions whatsoever, which would be a case of pretty sure sign that they're going to face off at WrestleMania. So Roman Reigns might be the guy to finally slay The Fiend. The promo itself, I stumble over my words, but gosh, everyone did here. Kathy Kelly did, Roman Reigns did, Daniel Bryan did, but yeah, it didn't matter. That was beside the point. So the main event, like I said, was Bryan and Reigns facing against Ziggler and Corbin in a tag team match. Apparently they just, they like to shuffle these people all over the place. That's the only main event they could do on Smackdown on Fox recently. When will this feud end between King Corbin and Roman Reigns? It feels like it's just been going on forever. Forever. And with, what happened post-match, it looks like it's going to carry on happening. So we had a spot here where Daniel Bryan starts to chant yes, gets the yes chants going, and then we get some Bray Wyatt laughter, and then they go to commercial. Because why? I get, the cliffhanger, but if you're going to have logic here, and I know logic isn't WWE's friend, but something important's just happened. Why would you cut away? Imagine in a sports game, imagine in an NFL game, they cut to commercial just as the quarterback's about to throw the ball. It's stupid. It always lacks logic for me whenever they do something like that. Silly. Anyway, the heels work over Roman Reigns for the majority of the match. We get a hot tag to Daniel Bryan, hits a Frankensteiner, hits yes kicks. He locks in the bow lock to Dolph Ziggler, but it's broken up by King Corbin. Reigns and spears Corbin. We get a super kick to Roman Reigns and a running knee on Ziggler. You think that's the finish? And then the lights go out and the Fiend appears and the red light is back. Yes, the red light is not going away anytime soon. It would appear, even though at this point I think it's universally hated. It's an eyesore at this point. Anyway, the Fiend appears at ringside in front of the commentary table. Daniel Bryan does a suicide dive, tries to attack him, throws him into the ring post, but of course this is the Fiend, nothing can hurt the Fiend. So he responds, attacks Daniel Bryan, locks in the mandible claw and throws him through the barricade. I talked about overdone spots. That barricade, they should really reinforce that because apparently it's getting broken every week at this point. The lights then go out and the Fiend disappears. Roman Reigns, of course, you can't interact with the Fiend because that's WrestleMania main event, so he's nowhere to be seen when the Fiend's attacking. But as soon as the lights come back on, he checks on Daniel Bryan at ringside. But Dolph Ziggler and King Corbin attack Roman Reigns 2-on-1. The match at this point is no contest, which, is fine. It's not really about the match, it's about the story here. So they're attacking Roman Reigns, they handcuff him to the ropes and they get out the dog food because apparently King Corbin has to ensure that dog food is under every single WWE ring at this point. They handcuff him to the ropes, they're going to pour dog food over him again, but then the Usos music hits. Yes, our third return of the evening, the Usos are back. And they attack Ziggler and King Corbin. So, and then that's the show. They end the show with Reigns and the Usos standing tall. Now, this obviously it makes sense. Obviously, the Usos have been out of action since just before SummerSlam, when they had the once again another DUI incident, and they've been away from TV ever since. Again, it makes sense for them coming to rescue their cousin. They previously had the bloodline faction between them three. This would make sense if Robert Roode hadn't have been suspended, because then it would have literally been 3-on-3. At this point, it's 3-on-2. So who are they going to face? I don't know at this point. But I talked about earlier about who the Miz and Morrison could face as a heel tag team. Obviously, they could face the New Day for the Tag Team Championship, but now you've got a face tag team come back. So they could face them as well, and they could face the likes of Cesaro and Nakamura once Nakamura drops the Intercontinental Championship. And again, this whole thing would have made more sense if Rude was still around, because then you would have had a 3-on-3, you could have the 6-man tag match, which they might be building to. But it made sense, and it was a good finish to the show, and a surprise I don't think anyone really saw coming. I think people would have saw the Morrison and Sheamus ones coming since they'd been announced, but people are thinking, when the Usos going to come back? Are they going to come back on Raw or SmackDown? They're back on SmackDown. So the SmackDown roster at this point is pretty stacked. I think they're missing a few top baby faces, which they need. It's quite heel heavy at this point. But I think at this point the SmackDown probably needs the Usos more. Like I said, it's a shame that Robert Roode got suspended, but it's good ultimately to see them back.